The penultimate episode of Star Trek Picard Season 2 has beamed down. But are we getting more plot development, or is the season still stalled as some have described it as? Either way, we're reviewing the latest episode to explore all the details and what it means for the next week's upcoming final episode. Don't forget, we'll be talking about the episode in full detail, so spoiler warning, you have been warned. Welcome to Trek Central, I'm your host Captain Jack, and let's beam straight into it. Before we do jump into today's video, if you want to keep up to date on all the latest Star Trek news, lore and more, then make sure to hit that subscribe button to never miss a video of myself and the team here at Trek Central. You can also follow us on social media for daily updates on the Star Trek universe. Now as always, please do let us know your thoughts in the comment section below, because if you are talking about Star Trek, then we want to hear about it. Okay? Engage. So, this was a bit of a messy episode, and I think it suffers for a lot of the episode as well, and only in the last 10 minutes or so do I think it really gains the strength it needed. The first half of this episode is filled with a lot of plot contrivance and weird pacing issues. These types of pacing issues appear to plague the second half of Season 2 of Picard. We do know there was a behind the scenes split with the second season. When it started, both showrunner Terry Matalas and executive producer Kiva Goldsman were handling the running of the show. However, halfway through, Matalas broke off to work on the third season of Picard. This is because Star Trek Picard's second and third seasons are shot back to back, so someone would have to handle the reins of each. Whether this is the reason we're seeing odd pacing issues is unknown, though the criticism of Picard dragging out and most of the episodes being filler appears to be growing with our observations of the fandom. Regardless of this, we're still somewhat enjoying this episode. Personally, because we got a little bit more of James Callis once again, and I can never say no to seeing Garrus Thrakin Boltar. Anyway, let's go on some deep dives for the episode. The main plot issue comes from the Borg Commandos. Now these are not fully assimilated humans and are more proto-Borg in my point of view, hence why they maintain more of their human movement and it's just their minds have been enslaved to the collective and their bodies. We have them doing a lot of things and just service a plot, and lead to more video game-esque style sequences, especially with Seven and Raffi moving through the chateau and stopping before obvious locations where they spot you. It is very video game-esque. The only time they get some good aim, which surely would be better considering they're simulated, is shooting Rios in the arm. This only takes them out of a sequence so you can have a moment of Teresa out of harm's way with her son. The next thing, which we should not look into too much, is just transporter usage in this episode. If the Queen had access to the transporter system, surely she could just beam Picard and his crew into walls just like the gang did to some Borg later in the episode. This has always been an issue of transporter technology and the plot of the story in Star Trek, but they explain why they don't do it with the Queen. She had a transport inhibitor inside her, but they could have at least mentioned it, maybe as Talon's tech was stopping the Borg. Something like that could have happened, I don't know. One thing that bugged me was the Adam Soong and his army. It was some atrocious CGI usage of Brent Spiner and the Borg soldiers in the forest, parlaying with Picard. Not sure if it's due to the lighting of the set design, but damn did it actually look really off-putting for those scenes. Take a look and tell us what you think. However, I have to say, once the commando aspect of the episode ends, the episode does get much better overall. Jurati and the Borg Queen have been a highlight of the season for many fans, elevating Jurati from a character that was simply just there in Season 1 to a fan favourite, and Annie Wershing bringing her own colour to the character that is a Borg Queen. Jurati managed to take control back from Borg Queen using the same method which the Borg Queen used to over her and take control is amazing. It just goes to show how well clever and strong Jurati actually is, but actually opens a line of dialogue with the Borg Queen and offers something new. What if the Borg were actually the good guys? Her speech about being saviours of the galaxy, providing second chances and embracing the difference in us is not casting aside a weakness, but seeing as a strength was absolutely beautiful. I think this is summed up in one line, talking about Seven and how great she is. Let's build a universe of Sevens. Let's start with this one. I got chills from that personally, and it was amazing. Seven does get re-assimilated, which is an interesting way to bring back to where she was before the end of the Confederation timeline. It was weird that every character was essentially the same in the Confederation timeline, even Picard still having his flesh and blood synth body, but it was only Seven who had changed in her body, no longer being an XB. The Borg Queen and Jurati being one of two, it's highly likely they're the Borg Legion which Picard and McCone met in the first episode of Season 2. The Borg Queen having her face obscured to hide this exact fact. So for some reason this new Borg collective, who are the good people now, are going to try and get to the Federation timeline. Why? We should possibly see in Season 3. But this does go into the note which the Borg Queen gave to Picard. Two Renees need to exist, a Renee that dies and a Renee that lives, to possibly make sure that both the Confederation timeline exists with the good Borg and the Federation timeline exists. How this might be achieved and how time travel works now, we should have to wait till next week to find out. Either way, it's confusing. Now one of my personal highlights of this episode is 7 of 9. This season, Jerry Ryan, like many others, has pushed her acting potential out, and as such, Seven stands out as a fantastic character. However, we do get some interesting backstory details about Seven of Nine post her return to Earth in Star Trek Voyager. Via conversations with Raffi, it's revealed that Seven tried to join Starfleet following Voyager's return. However, Starfleet, still being concerned and afraid of a Borg, denied her a chance. Janeway even tried to bat for her by threatening to resign if Seven did not get into the organisation, but this did not work. Seven eventually joined the Fenris Rangers, which we saw in Picard Season 1. Thinking about it, Seven would likely make a good Starfleet officer. I'm not sure about a full-on captain, but it would be interesting to see. Maybe we'll see more of that in the upcoming 3rd season of Star Trek Picard. That would be rather interesting to explore. I will say, however, this episode was the best opportunity to have a kiss between Seven and Raffi and have it be plot relevant. This is not saying that such forms of affection should only be shown when it's relevant to the plot, but it was a good opportunity to show the relationship between these two characters, and just nothing happened. We do get to see how much Seven means to Raffi in these conversations, but such things can be shown as well as said. Before we get into the big aspect of the Picard backstory which was shown in this episode, I just want to point out a tiny detail during the breakfast scene in this Picard playing of the Enterprise model. However, it's not just the NX-01 Enterprise, but the refit version, which is meant to be seen in Season 5 of Enterprise. It's been a bloody long road. The refit model is just really cool, with the NX-01 Enterprise basically being given a secondary hull to give it a look in between its NX-01 style and the Constitution class USS Enterprise we know and love. So seeing it on screen is amazing and technically canonizes it once more. The Picard backstory was a strong aspect of this episode, but also went really dark really quickly, and I can understand why it's being very shocking for many watchers of the show. We get a continuation of Picard's backstory to what happened after he unlocked the door, something which was teased during the coma episode. Picard crawled into bed with his mother, and with the door open, Yvette would then go into the solarium and hang herself. It's a bit dark. This was shocking for many viewers, and I think the direction of this particular aspect of this episode was quite sloppy in its execution. It did achieve what it needed to do, shock the audience and explicitly tell us that this is a suicide, but it could have been done in a much more tactful way. However, the solarium being damaged and not repaired even after the fire shattered Picard now makes a lot more sense, considering how much trauma that location holds for Jean-Luc Picard. Now some people might think, oh, but we saw Yvette Picard as an old lady. This gets really interesting and solved. In a single line where Picard says he often pictured his mother in her old age drinking a cup of tea. This just makes the episode in which we do see an old Yvette Picard of Next Generation much more deep with his newfound knowledge. In that it's essentially Picard's mind protecting him from the trauma he witnessed as a young child. So, the return of Elnor is something we've been expecting for some time now, especially if we saw a clip of him in the 2nd season main trailer for Picard. Perhaps if that scene had not been there, and his reveal was not shown in the teaser trailer for episode 9, it would have made more sense and actually been interesting. At first I was wondering why Elnor was actively trying to dodge the bullets, but it's probably because he has a mobile emitter. One little detail that we missed from the preview trailer for the episode. It's really cool to see mobile emitter technology back once again in Star Trek. It connects very well with Star Trek Voyager and the future of Trek overall. I'm guessing the Confederation created the mobile emitter technology, or the Confederation had a similar time travel situation where they acquired such technology. The emitter was probably used instead of just using the hollow emitters of the Lacerine to isolate Elnor's program from the main computer, since this program has the key to the fractal lock on the Lacerine's computer system, and it actually makes a lot more sense now I think about it. Though I did not see anyone take the mobile emitter with them, which could have been done. Raffi could have snuck it on the ship in her pocket, but if she didn't, both the emergency command Elnor program and his actual body were on the Lacerina, which is now on its way to the Delta Quadrant. That's a little bit scary. Maybe we get to see a Borg Elnor in Season 2. Again. Who knows? Borg Elnor in the end episode? I'm predicting it. Let's go with it. Thankfully this episode did not do what I thought it would, this having the issue of cramming all the action and content into the last 2 episodes. While I can't say that for episode 10, the season final, until next week, this episode was relatively fine. Yes, it is still a bit messy here and there, but it does a good job of containing itself. That said, episode 9 does serve to apparently wrap up some plot points as well as finally conclude Picard's personal background story. I'm not sure if we're 100% done with this just yet, but is there still a connection between episode 1 and that we're seeing in season 2? That being a Borg Queen in the Stargazer telling Jean-Luc to look up, just like his mother did. But now with that Borg Queen being likely Jurati, it could just be a way for Picard to trust them in a sense. I don't know. However, we do still have a lot of plot to somewhat wrap up with the 2nd season. My fears of viewers being left in a cliffhanger are apparently coming somewhat true. If the next episode does not wrap the season, then we'll be waiting around about a year for us to get started once again. Either way, I'm still interested in Picard. The pacing issues and slow plot development have not switched me off just yet. Rios is also someone we've got to think about. He had a nice little ending of Teresa in this episode. While she tried to get him to stay in the past with her, it's clear Rios' loyalties are with Admiral Picard and the crew, as well as for his own future in the timeline. Whether a curveball will be thrown in here is unknown. Like, it would really not surprise me at this point, and be a shame if Rios does stay in the past. I want him back on board with Stargazer, and we want a Stargazer series, come on. So as usual, we invite you to tell us what you thought of the latest episode of Star Trek Picard Season 2. Has it picked up and is meeting your expectations, or perhaps you're thinking of something else? Either way, let us know in the comment section below, because like always, if you're talking about Star Trek, then we want to hear about it. If you do want to keep up to date on all the latest Star Trek news, lore and more, then make sure to hit that subscribe button to never miss a video from myself and the team here at Trek Central. You can also follow us on social media or join our community Discord server. And don't forget, for the latest previews of Star Trek content, head over to trekcentral.net. For now, I've been Captain Jack, thanks for watching, and we'll see you this time next week. Live long and prosper, my friends. Goodbye.